The West actually produces nothing, but they take credit for everything, just like with colonization. The Western world has built its global prestige and its reputation on the central myth that it's the home of excellence, and that this excellence is a byproduct of their unequaled freedom. That Western societies are the pinnacle of quality, of craftsmanship, of innovation and refinement and so on. And all of this because they have so much liberty and so much freedom. So creativity and excellence thrive, right? Brilliance and hard work. All of that flourishes in the great sunlight of Western democracy. Meanwhile, actual excellence is outsourced. The only thing that you do is slap your label on what others make. You slap your logo on things that are made by the people who you demonize, who you disrespect, who you denigrate, who you look down upon, who you call peasants. Everything about your success is actually made possible by people who you call losers. The only thing that the West excels at is branding, taking credit. Your whole economy is a scam. A logo, a stamp, a label, and then they inflate the price 1,000-fold. That's what you make. You make logos. It's not a system of productivity, it's a system of appropriation. It's an economy of logos. It takes what others produce, stamp their name on it, and then sell it back to the world at an obscene profit. That's not excellence, that's fraud. This is a pattern that repeats throughout your so-called society, your so-called civilization. From Elvis Presley singing Hound Dog to the crown jewels of the British monarchy stolen from India. You're that dumb jock who puts his name on a test that he paid someone else to take for him. That's America. It's like how you buy a $5 coffee that's 80% foam. You're literally paying for the privilege of drinking from a cup with a logo on it. So how fake is that?
And for Muslims specifically, we're just tired, For at least the last 20 to 30 years, you've been bullying us with the label extremist, telling us which kind of Islam was going to be all right with you. Even while you were invading our countries, bombing our cities, killing our families, somehow you were still able to bully us into thinking that we were the violent ones. The West was like a murderer who stabs someone, gets the victim's blood all over his own clothes, and then he starts screaming, "Help, help, I'm bleeding." You were covered in our blood, but acted like you were the one who was bleeding. And we bent over backwards. For the last 20 years at least, Muslims have been bending over backwards to try to assure you. And you tricked us with the promise of acceptance and approval. And acceptance and approval from you meant that maybe you wouldn't bomb us. Maybe you wouldn't lock us up in Guantanamo Bay. So you tricked us into thinking that we had to conform to your values, to your principle, just to prove to you that we were civilized people who deserve not to be bombed and not to be locked up in Guantanamo Bay.
So over the course of 1,400 years, Muslims killed around 15 to 25 million non-Muslims. That sounds like a lot, right? That makes you think that, yeah, it's true. Every civilization, every empire was violent. So why point to the West so particularly? Well, because in roughly a third of that amount of time, the West killed 275 million more people. You slaughtered, genocided, starved, bombed, murdered 300 million people in just the last 500 years. In fact, America alone has killed in just my lifetime almost as many people as the total killed by the Muslims in 1,400 years. Imagine. You killed in just the last 50 years the equivalent of all non-Muslims killed in every war ever fought by the Muslim empires in over a millennium. That's why we point to the West specifically. Do you understand? Because that's strange. It's abnormal. It's unique. And by the way, from that 300 million that you killed through slavery, through colonization, through engineered famines, through sanctions, and through war, we're not even talking about mostly soldiers being killed. We're talking about mostly civilians. Even in your wars, between 50% to 70% of the casualties have been civilians. Yes, you stand out in history. So like I said, you know people by their deeds. You know them, you know what they believe by their deeds, their habitual, continuous deeds, not their aberrations. Okay? The Spanish conquest of the Americas, 70 million dead. British colonialism, minimum 150 million killed. The transatlantic slave trade, at least 15 to 25 million killed. French colonial wars, 25 million. Congo, 20 million. Genocide of the Native Americans, upwards of 90 to 100 million. On and on. The Holocaust, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Iraq, Afghanistan, now Gaza. It doesn't stop with you. The fact is that the Muslim empire, across time, relative to its size and duration, has the least amount of blood spilt than any other empire in human history, and that's a fact. Even if you go back to the Roman Empire. Our conquests were the least destructive, our conquests were the least deadly, and the most successful and the most peaceful in integrating and tolerating and cultivating the people of the lands that we entered. Versus a total annihilation, extermination, enslavement, subjugation, pillage, and plunder of what you all did. This is your way. You were and are absolutely outstanding at it. Outstanding as in you stand out because of it. And you do that because you truly believe in it.